Hey there, friends. Did you need another reason not to vote for the cackling, empty suit, idiotic prostitute of a vice president in Kamala Harris? I'm going to give you more reasons, and these reasons will probably upset your stomach a little bit because it's absolutely sickening that the current administration is allowing this type of crime to free flow into our country.
In a multi-day operation, ICE agents have arrested 4 illegal immigrants on Nantucket Island for child sex crimes. Despite the disturbing charges, all of them were released from local custody before now being held by federal agents. Here to react is retiring acting ICE director and Fox News contributor Tom Homan. So why were they in the country to begin with, Tom? How were they allowed to cross the border? Was there no information about that before we decided to just grant them parole?
No, look, I've been saying for over 3 years, Lawrence, there's no vetting process. They say they vet these people, but American people need to know. We don't have access to other countries' criminal databases. So when they vet them, they're vetting them through NCIC, our system, NCIC III, state systems. So unless they have a record in the United States based on their fingerprints, we don't know who they are or what criminal record they are. If they come from El Salvador, Guatemala, or Venezuela, we don't have access to that information. So when we take your fingerprints and run them, we're running them against our databases. So vetting process is terrible, and that's why we keep seeing these criminals coming to our attention that were released by this administration. I want to add one more thing. You talk about the child sex crimes. Under Kamala Harris, we'd have over 500,000 children have been smuggled into the United States, separated from their families, smuggled by criminal cartels, and released in the United States. That's her failure as the borders are. And let me add this. They've released these people to so-called sponsors. They don't vet properly. Now they can't find 148,000 children or their sponsors, and I guarantee you, based on my 3.5 decades of investigative experience, these children are in forced labor or they're in forced sex trade, and they're living a life of hell. This administration, what they've done on the border is disgusting.
You know, Tom, when we look at it, we can just throw this full screen up because it's just egregious. One of the illegals that is responsible for this, 11 counts of sex crimes. You got a rape of a child, indecent assault, raping minors, a battery of a 14-year-old, battery of another 14-year-old. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. And every single time, Tom, because you're right, we don't have the infrastructure. We don't talk to every single country, especially the ones that they're fleeing. They're fleeing for a reason. And then we just give them a notice to appear, as if they're just going to come back to us.
Then even when they lose their case, Lawrence, you and I both know Secretary Mayorkas has told ICE, you can't remove somebody, arrest somebody for simply being here illegally. They got to be convicted of a serious offense. So the door's wide open. And look, it's not only the criminals coming across. We brought 500,000 children in this country. And that's why President Trump pushed back on that Senate bill, because that Senate bill says 4,000 to 5,000 illegal aliens a day are okay. But you know what was? No, they did a carve-out in that bill, and people don't understand. In that bill, they did a carve-out. Unlimited children. Children weren't even counted to the 4,000 or 5,000 limit a day, which would entice more child trafficking to the United States. So President Trump did the right thing by pushing back on that bill. It would have enticed more sex trafficking of children.
Always loved Tom Homan. As an ICE director, he did everything the right way. I felt like his heart was in the right place. I feel like he loves his country. He was the only person I've ever seen in this type of role that took his job very seriously. It wasn't a political position for him. And to hear some of the things that he says, it's downright frightening to know, guys, we have an administration. We know Joe Biden is not the one calling the shots. We talk about this almost daily. We all understand that. We all know that, right? Joe Biden hasn't picked out the shade of white that his diapers are in the last 4 years. Joe Biden controls nothing, makes zero decisions. Those people pulling the strings, the puppet masters out there, the Obamas, the Rices, the Valerie Jarretts, Ron Plain, all those people, those are the people calling the shots. And as I've stated before, they are running cover for themselves because they're not on the record for running anything. So they can ruin the country and keep the border open. And there's nobody to answer for it because who are you going to talk to? Joe Biden's already been determined that he's too mentally retarded to actually stand trial. And I don't know what the exact words. And I'm talking about that. I'm not saying that from a derogatory term. You guys know I have a special needs son. by definition, Joe Biden is mentally retarded. His mind is, there's a sense of retardation in his mind, right? So that fits the description. So miss me with the, oh, that's insensitive. That's an actual term. So the guy is too retarded to be able to stand trial, but he's the president. Yeah, right. Who's got the wheel, right? We know Kamala Harris is too stupid to run the country, so it's those other people. However, if you're happy with the report you just saw, then fine. Vote for Kamala and these other puppet masters who will be pulling the strings going forward. You want to get a little bit more pissed off because I can dig deeper into that current ICE report that Homan just put out, right? Or just talked about, rather. Here's some numbers you should know about. There are an additional 1,845 illegal aliens with pending homicide charges, 42,915 with assault charges, and 3,266 illegal aliens with burglary charges and 4,250 with assault charges. That sounds pretty rough, right? That alone makes me wonder, okay, these people are scattering these illegal aliens throughout the country like cockroaches when you flip a light switch on. So these people are proliferated throughout the country. This is from an administration that is okay with an open border. When they say broken immigration system, their solution to fix it is simply to make all these people citizens. That's what they say when they say it's broken. It's not broken. There are laws in place and there's actually a way that all these people could be real immigrants. Talking about legal immigrants, legal aliens. There's a process for them all to become U.S. citizens. The Democrats need them to become citizens right away. That's why they're letting them in here, and that's why they're not trying to take them off of voter rolls. They know that the tide has turned and people are tired of their blue-haired, crazy, wacko rules that they're trying to put in there. They realize that the whole climate thing is a hoax. They realize that they are trying to disarm us, and some people have gone, why do they want us to not have any firearms? Talking about us, not the criminals, because the criminals are the only ones that they're not trying to disarm. It's just us. So people have seen these people. I mean, let's face it. There was only 4 years over the last 16 or 20 years where a Republican was president. These people have been in power for the last couple of decades. So they have only themselves to blame for all the screw-ups that have been out there. So everyone has seen what they can do. They've seen the results of having these wackos. And look, the more they get in office, the further left that they seem to push. Again, we look at these small, tiny percentages of people that they try to accommodate and get the whole country to agree to that, whenever it only affects a tiny percentage of people. It's the craziest thing you ever saw. These people are willing to die on the sword of stupidity to satisfy 0.00% of people out there. So this is what we have to look forward to, an open border with these crazies running the show and ushering these people in because they need future voters. Because the voters are falling off the voter rolls. You are having Democrats escape that party. I'm not saying they're all going to Republican. A lot of them are moving to independent, which means they're not going to vote down party line anymore like they had in the past. So they're not as stupid, gullible, and brain dead as they always were leading up to this point. We're not the only ones who see that. The Democrats see that they're losing their own registered voters. You want to see the really bad part of what I just showed? I just showed you a glimpse of illegal aliens with homicide charges, assault charges, burglary charges. Let's look at the stuff that will make your skin crawl and make you realize that you need to double check where your children are when they go to bed at night. Of these numbers, 62,231 were convicted of assault, 14,301 were convicted of burglary, 56,533 were convicted on drug charges, 13,099 convicted of homicide. Not accused, convicted of homicide. They're sending their best, right? An additional 2,521 have kidnapping convictions. And get this, 15,000 811 illegal aliens in this country right now have sexual assault convictions. Child trafficking is huge right now. That's massive for these people. You heard what they were saying in the report, that a lot of cases, they're bringing these kids in droves. They're encouraging these kids to come in here. In a lot of cases, they're being sold off. They're being used. And you know what they're being used for. I can't say it in this video, but you know what they're being used for. So if I use just this slide alone, that's going to have drug and violent crime. Again, we're talking about convictions. We're not accusing people. These people were already sent through a court system in their own countries and convicted of these crimes. This is 164,496. Hear that number again. We have 164,000, almost 165,000 illegal aliens in this country currently that came here illegally that have been convicted of assault, burglary, drug convictions, homicide, and sexual assault. That's who the Biden-Harris administration, along with their surrogates over here of Obama, Valerie Jarrett, Ron Plain, and all these goofballs, Susan Rice, they're all okay with this. They don't care what happens to the children in this country. You know why? Their children don't go to public schools. Their children are behind walls that are protected. Guess what? Like prisons. You know how they always tell you we don't want to harden our schools because we don't want our schools to be like prisons because it might scare our children? Their children go to private schools that are protected like prisons. And I don't hear anybody complaining about it. That's why they don't care that the illegal aliens come in by these types of numbers and infect our country with the type of crime that these other countries have pushed out. Let's remember, these other countries, literally, this is not something that somebody made up. These other countries literally have opened their prisons and made room in their prisons so they can put more people into their own prisons, taking these violent criminals that you see crossing the border freely because the Biden-Harris administration allows them to. They have emptied their prisons and sent them north. Let's go to the United States. They're putting them in buses. Mexico wants them out of their country so badly that they will put them at the southern border on a bus of Mexico, drive them through Mexico to get the hell out of here and get into the United States, because even Mexico doesn't want to deal with them. You know the crime-ridden cesspool that Mexico is, and they're like, don't let them get out here. Send them to the U.S. That's the people that are coming here. I, for the life of me, cannot understand how these politicians, even though their current children are protected, and even though these people still have to go out in public sometimes, for the life of me, I don't understand how these politicians don't feel for their own extended family and their future families. In other words, let's be honest here. Barack Obama doesn't care about me and you. He never has. It's all about him. I mean, the guy's a gazillionaire right now. His two daughters never have seen a day of public school. They've always been protected by guns. They've been in these same private schools that are protected like prisons. But what I don't understand is this guy such an ass that he doesn't care about once his daughters go out and start families? I mean, are they always going to have Secret Service protection? I don't think so. What about their extended families? What about when they have children? Will these people always be protected by the government? Maybe they are. I don't know. I don't know how the Secret Service works as far as children and extended families, but I have to believe that they're not. Every one of these people can't have all their extended family protected at all times. So do they not care about the RAPE that happens out there of women, children? Does that not bother them? Do they not worry about these people who are senselessly killing people, stealing their stuff, taking over these communities? Is this that big of a deal to them to always be in power, to where they're willing to sacrifice good people on the way to accomplishing that? These people don't love our country. They never have. They have a love for power, not a love for country. Truly, we have a love for country. I love my country. Even in the shape that it's currently in, I love my country. But I have an undying love for my country where power doesn't mean anything to me. Many of you out there could have already been in politics. You don't want to be in politics for the same reasons I probably don't want to be. I don't want to become a scumbag. I would rather fight for my country, and I love my country, and I'd rather do what I do here. because I feel like I can at least do something. Maybe the needle budges a little bit, but at least it budges. It moves a little bit. But I've never seen people so drunk on power to be willing to watch in real time as children, women are attacked. They disappear or they're murdered. They're brought across borders to other countries. I've never seen people so drunk on power that they're willing to put all their morals aside and simply go, it was worth it. I got power. These people are sickening.
I don't understand the point that you're making.
God save the Queen, man.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America. It's over.